Brady clearly has had the greatest career of any player in the history of the National Football League. And he's been tremendous in a lot of different ways. In the New England area, the names Thomas and Brady have spiked over the course of his career in terms of newborn babies and people naming their children, both Thomas and Brady, based on his popularity and the 6 championships that he, in conjunction with Bill Belichick and the other members of the Patriots over that time, have helped to bring that city. We have countless moments, whether you're a fan or not a fan, whether it's the Tuck rule, whether it's the comeback from 28-3 in the Super Bowl against Atlanta. We have just the countless big plays, the countless huge drives. Again, the 6 championships. Everything he's done to get to the point of being the all-time leading passer in yards, in touchdowns, being the all-time winningest quarterback in the regular season, in the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many numbers, so many records. It's insane to try and count or try and discuss. We could probably do a whole hour or 2-hour podcast just talking about Tom Brady's legendary games, legendary moments, and great all-time accomplishments. That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, then you look at it, obviously there is the big time smudge in terms of Spygate, in terms of Deflategate. And so you're wondering, obviously the NFL did catch these guys, New England, with Spygate. And even if you don't believe Spygate was a real thing, former Patriots OC Josh McDaniel, who's now coincidentally just taking the coach of the Raiders job, who was also coach of the Denver Broncos, we know Spygate was a real thing because one of his staff members got caught when he was with Denver trying to record the signals of an opposing team during an overseas game in London. So what does that tell you? This is something that he learned from being in the Patriots organization. So now you wonder, does that take some of the luster off of Tom Brady's greatness in his career? For some people, it does. You look at a guy like Rob Parker, who just wrote an article in Deadspin, I think yesterday, talking about don't forget that Tom Brady's a cheater when you look back at his legacy.
Tom Brady also destroyed his telephone in the course of the investigation. And Tom Brady also, Peter Alexander from NBC News, I'll never forget this. When they put together his legacy film, they should put that clip of Peter Alexander asking Tom Brady, "Are you a cheater?" And what was Tom Brady's answer, Skip Bayless? "I don't think so. I don't think so." That was his answer?
I don't know. To me, I see a lot of that as being gamesmanship, maybe over the top gamesmanship, pushing it too far. But in every sport, stealing signals has been a part of the game, trying to figure out what the other team is doing when they signal certain things in order to stop it and kind of grease the skids to your own victory. The old saying goes, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I don't know if I necessarily push it that far, but point I'm trying to make is, gamesmanship in every sport is part of things. But for me, how I look at it, gamesmanship doesn't help you to step out there in the biggest moments and complete those passes. Gamesmanship doesn't help you to come back from a 28-3 deficit in the biggest game, at least to that point of your life, and the still biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. Gamesmanship doesn't help you to do all the amazing things that Tom Brady has been able to do over the years. And even if your argument is, okay, he's a cheater and that got him to all those wins and championships in New England, what happened when he came down after everyone said, okay, he's a system guy, despite all his amazing accomplishments? I never understood that. But what happened when he came down to Tampa Bay after leaving New England, and in his first year there, in the early 40s, he was able to win yet another championship? Was he still cheating? Were the Bucks now suddenly recording signals and doing all that? No. So even if you have any doubt as to Tom Brady's greatness because of what went on in New England, now you got to look at it and say, okay, he came down to Tampa Bay and he proved what he's able to do, even as a lesser physical version of himself. Not, of course, to say that Tom Brady has ever been some elite physical prospect with elite physical tools that help lead him to victory. No, Tom Brady has all the other things. I'm not going to run down the list of Brady's incredible accomplishments for you. Like I said, that would take, an hour or two in podcast form. But just look at the guy, right? I'm not talking anything off the court. I'm not off the field. I'm not talking any of that. Look at what the guy has been able to accomplish. Look at the way he is revered by former teammates and coaches. Look at what he made of himself from pick number 199, the last pick in the 6th round. This is a guy who can tell you every quarterback who was drafted before him in that draft. This is a guy who came in with the chip on his shoulder. This is a guy, he didn't go high. This is a guy who had to fight for everything he ever had, right? He had to fight for an opportunity at Michigan. He had to fight for the opportunity in New England. And when he got that opportunity, he never gave it back. And he turned into the greatest quarterback of all time. And in some people's estimation, the greatest football player of all time. Now, I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to say clearly he's the most accomplished football player of all time. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But you just got to look at it and say, at this point, if you're arguing just to argue. He was also part of what's arguably the greatest quarterback rivalry of all time. Some people might say Elway, Montana, but was that really a rivalry? Two all-time great individual talents, but clearly on the team side and the success side, the winning side, Montana was way ahead of that, right? And he stomped him out a couple times in the Super Bowl. So then you look at it, you say Brady, Montana, these guys defined an entire generation of quarterbacking in the NFL and gave us some all-time great playoff matchups. Obviously, Tom Brady is, he's got the lead on that. Peyton Manning has 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins. Tom Brady, 9 Super Bowl appearances, 10 Super Bowl appearances, right? 7 Super Bowl wins. Inconceivable, right? This is not basketball. And even in basketball, not to take a shot at anybody, it's really hard to get to the finals 10 times. We know that. But in football, the way football is designed, and of course, the physicality of the game, what it can do to your body to make it to that ultimate final round, the Super Bowl, and have the opportunity to win the Lombardi on 10 different occasions doesn't even make sense. And then to win it 7 times is just, it's inconceivable. And it's something I feel very confident and very safe in saying is never going to happen again. Tom Brady, I don't even know how we can, there's no one word that can describe the guy. I mean, it's funny, like you hear the stories, right? Charlie Weiss, former offensive coordinator for the Patriots, you hear about Tom Brady from him when he says, before Tom Brady was even starting, he would, go through practice and everything. And at the end of practice, he would gather all the backups and all the scout team guys and whatnot. And he would run through practice again with them, continuing to master his craft and get himself to the point that when he was ready, he felt like he was going to take over and not look back. And that's exactly what happened. He took over. He did not look back. And we know all the rest. I mean, stories like that are insane. Think about going through an entire NFL practice and then going through it again just because your drive is so great in terms of you wanting to prove what you can be and what you're going to do. I mean, I think the other story is after he got drafted, he walked up to Robert Kraft and shook his hand and told him, "My name's Tom Brady, and I'm going to be the best pick you ever made or the best investment," or something like that. I'm the best thing that's ever happened to this organization, something along those lines. As a pick number 199, end of the 6th round, for you to walk up to the owner of the franchise and say that, what does that say about your confidence, your belief in your own skill, your belief in your own future, your belief in your own work ethic? That's crazy, right? Then you look at the humility side. You would never see humility when he's Psycho Tom on the field, as Skip Bayless likes to call him, when he's screaming at people and making these great plays, and he's got that crazy look on his face. Side note, have you noticed all the all-timers, the all-time all-timers, all have that look when they're dominating? And that's the Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans, those guys, they have that look, and we call it, the psycho eyes, right? They look like they would stab you in the heart at that moment, to win the game. You always hear stuff like that. You don't hear that about everybody, but certain guys, they kind of transcend normality and they transcend even greatness to take it to that next level. So yeah, you see the Psycho Tom on the field, but then, juxtaposed with that, you see a Tom Brady who apparently walks up to every single new teammate and says, "Hi, I'm Tom Brady," as if his new teammates don't know that he's Tom Brady. Like you have the greatness, the arrogance, And then immediately juxtaposed is the humility and just the person, the man. So, there's so many stories, there's so much to talk about, but I'm going to leave it here and just say Tom Brady, greatest quarterback of all time, no argument. I think I touched on it briefly in another episode. We've never seen Tom Brady look so resigned following the loss to the Rams a couple of weeks ago, but also so comfortable after a loss. We probably feel like at this point, after 22 years, there's the tug of his family, and as well the probably a slightly waning desire to put himself and his body through everything it takes, and his mind, to be ready physically and mentally to play the game at the level that he knows he needs to play it, to be able to live up to being Tom Brady and to live up to trying to be a champion, right? There's something to be said. I've heard it from a lot of guys who played. They'd be ready to go on Sunday, but the Monday through Saturday to get to Sunday is what stopped them and made them realize that it was time to go. So I'll wrap it up here. Tom Brady, again, greatest we've ever seen at the position. Some people's estimation, greatest player. I'm not going that far, but clearly greatest quarterback of all time, greatest NFL career of all time, goes without saying. It's going to be a very different NFL world. I'm feeling like with him gone, with Ben Roethlisberger gone, obviously Peyton Manning's in the Hall of Fame now. Drew Brees retired last year. Aaron Rodgers is probably the last of the old guard that's still hanging in there. Russell Wilson kind of falls somewhere in between, the old guard and these new young guns. But it looks like Aaron Rodgers is the last of the old guard. And so at this point, Tom Brady, thank you for all the moments. Tom Brady, thank you for all the years. Tom Brady, thank you for all the work. Tom Brady, thank you for all the moments. Thank you for everything you've given us as football fans over the last 22 seasons. And best of luck to you, to your family, and everyone else as you step away from this game. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, that's it for this episode, touching on my thoughts on Tom Brady. If you've liked the show, please give us a like, click that button. If you want to subscribe, if you're not already, click the subscribe button in the lower right corner of your screen and click that notification bell so you can be notified when new episodes come out. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, look right here on the screen. You can see a number of places where we're available, but we're also available pretty much anywhere you get your audio podcasts. Besides that, if you do subscribe to the audio podcast and your platform allows it, please give us a 5-star rating. Helps us rise in the algorithm and gives us the opportunity to be found by more people more easily. If you like the show, really appreciate it. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with other sports fans or other people just looking for a good podcast. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great one. I'm out. Peace.